that burnout has been almost like the thing that's sitting on our shoulders every single day because we overgive, we overfunction, we do everything to make other people happy and make them approve of us. And so we find ourselves stuck in this cycle of burnout and then relief and burnout and then relief. So I'm kind of encouraging women to break up with that process, break up with that loop, and then sometimes break up with different people because they may be the source of your stress and anxiety and everything that is causing the burnout to happen.
Welcome to the Lupus and Community Podcast. Real stories, honest conversations, practical support, and lupus broken down in clear, simple language. Whether you're living with it, loving someone who is, or just trying to understand, this is your place. Seen, supported, stronger.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the last session and episode of June. It's the last episode in June because I'm wrapping up the month, which has to do with a topic I've been looking forward to, really. What happens when you clear out the space in your life? So this month, we redefined strength through adaptation. We also set boundaries, which are conditions that we uphold for ourselves. We honored our pace, which is the rhythm that stops us from apologizing, really. And today we're going to name all of it. Now, could that be self-devotion? I don't know. We'll wait and hear from Samantha, our guest today. It is not self-care, which seems to be a list to check off from these days. And it's not what you call self-love that is, how do I describe it? That these days seem to be like something you earn, right? Mm-hmm. So earlier in the year, my guest today and I wrote an article titled Decluttering Your Energy. But what we didn't do is fill in the gap about what happens when you make that space. So our conversation with Samantha Gregory today is about that. And so I welcome you, Samantha Gregory, if you would please introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and beyond your bio on Substack as well.
Sure. Thank you so much, Fatimah. I'm really happy to be here. I'm glad this is a second chance to collaborate and talk about, I think what we care about the most is women who are going through the transition from people-pleasing and self-sacrificing to self-devotion and radical self-care. And so that's what I do on my platform, Self Care Oasis. And I love being in this space because I get to share my experiences of what happened when I went through chronic burnout and chronic stress, and kind of being a guide and helping women who are where I was come up to the space where they have the capacity to even consider that they can be self-devoted, that they can prioritize themselves. And so I've been doing this for a couple of years here on Substack, but for the last almost 20 years, I've been talking to women in various ways about putting themselves first, getting their money story right, and putting their needs ahead of everyone else's, not in a selfish way, but so they can fill themselves up, so they can be available for the people who they truly love and who love them as well. So that was that's where I've been. My career has been in tech. I've been in many different Fortune 500 companies, creating courses and content for them. Technical writer, I'm an instructional designer, and now I do tech consulting. In addition to doing Self Care Oasis and the writing and the podcast, etc.
Wow, that's deep. You've done a lot.
Yeah,
You've done
yeah,
a
I
lot.
have.
Well, I'm glad you're here to share some of that with us. Now, your bio says you're a self-care alchemist. You help women, especially Black women, break up with burnout and step into self-devotion, radical self-care, and shameless bliss.
Mhm.
I want to start with burnout.
Okay.
How does it look like, and how does breaking up with burnout look like?
That's a very loaded question, but I think it's one that women are ready to hear because we have been so extracted from in our daily life. And that burnout has been almost like the thing that's sitting on our shoulders every single day because we overgive, we overfunction, we do everything to make other people happy and make them approve of us. And so we find ourselves stuck in this cycle of burnout and then relief and burnout and then relief. So I'm kind of encouraging women to break up with that process, break up with that loop, and then sometimes break up with different people because they may be the source of your stress and anxiety and everything that is causing the burnout to happen. And so to break up, you choose yourself first. You make, and this is a conscious decision. This is an intentional action that you have to take. Just like you've had a bad boyfriend back in the day, and that person was toxic. That person gave you anxiety. They stressed you out. They were the cause of a lot of your pain and suffering. And so, just like you have to break up with a bad boyfriend, you have to break up with burnout too, because it is not there to do anything to improve your life, but it causes you is there to drown out your own voice and extract from you over and over and over again, just to make other people happy, to profit other people, and to um, keep you in the space of smallness, shrinking, and never get into a place where you're able to stand up and say, you know what, I'm important too. I'm the queen of my life, and I deserve to have peace, love, and aligned relationships as well. So that's what breaking up with burnout looks like in my eyes. It may mean different things for different
For
people,
different people?
but the main point is you can let it go, you can release it. Sometimes you have to kick it out. So the method you use also varies.
And when we wrote that article, a section of yours talked about audit, making an audit, doing
Mhm.
an audit. What does that look like? I'm thinking it's like a state of awareness, right?
Yes.
And finding out, asking yourself, what do I need to clear out
Mhm.
of my life to feel better? And
Yeah.
so tell us what that process entails.
Sure. So I like to get a pen and paper and I like to write down what's working in my life and what's not working. And I think that takes a lot of courage to do because we don't want to look at our life and see how far away from the dream life that we imagined years ago that it is. And so
Hmm.
we can sit down and you can kind of even take that. What did I envision my life when I was younger to look like? And where is it now? And find a way to be honest with yourself. List the things that's happening in your life right now that's, I guess, opposite of what you intended for your life to be. Look at the people, look at the circumstances, look at the decisions that you're making every day, and see, is this really aligned with the life that I envisioned for myself, that I wanted for myself? And then once you've been honest and you've taken stock, as it were, if
Hmm.
you've written everything down, then you can see where the gaps are. And you can decide. I think it's really about a decision. Sometimes you have to sit with it because you being that honest with yourself can be jarring. It can be very painful even. And so the audit is not to judge you. It's not to make you feel horrible or bad about the trajectory of your life up until now. But it's just like you said, it's awareness. Like, where am I? What did I really want? Is this in alignment with that? And let me sit with that for a while. And then you even have to get to the place where you just have to really apologize to yourself for getting so off course, off track, and then make a decision that I'm going to course correct. And that's where this excuse me, this journey of self-care, self-devotion can start.
Right. And I can imagine it to be a long process,
Mhm.
maybe even more than a year,
Mhm.
to get all of that straightened out, and a process of becoming
Yes. Yes.
becoming a better version of yourself. And to those women who, or just anybody really, who sees the need to do this but is fearful of the backlash, the people in their lives that they might lose,
Mhm.
what do you say to them?
I say consider or ask yourself, if I don't do anything today and I continue down this path, what is the impact that it's going to have, not only on my life, but if you have children, if you have daughters specifically, what's going to be the impact on their life? Am I going to be a healthier version of myself, or am I going to become sickly? Am I going to have a life of freedom, or am I going to continue to be in bondage, as it were, in chains of someone else's making? But then
Right.
also, we put ourselves in chains as well. So
Right.
you have to ask yourself, what's the fallout? Like, what's going to be the what does my future look like if I continue down this path? And sometimes people have to go through really hard, uh, jarring, traumatic experiences just to wake up, you know? So if you can't get your courage after a conversation like this, then take some quiet time and consider, what does my future look like 5 years, 10 years from now, if I continue to stay steeped in this lifestyle that's not really working for me?
Mm-hmm.
And will you continue to lie to yourself or excuse the circumstances of your life, or will you find the courage to take control and responsibility for everything that's happening in your life right now?
Right. Right. That's deep. That's insight right there. Now, okay, having done all of that work, what do you fill the gap with? How do you go about becoming?
It's I look at it as part of a recovery process. Like, if you've broken a bone, it takes some time for that bone to heal. And the activities that you do while you're healing may require, slowing down. You may need some crutches, and those crutches aren't things that are going to put you in type of addiction, but you often need to heal your nervous system. So that's an activity that you can work on. And I'm about to, in about an hour, article is coming out where it's talking about nervous system regulation. So I
Nice.
think that is where most women need to stay for a while. That is where the gap is filled, because if you try to fill it with other actions and activities that's going to, that you think is the right thing to do without really taking stock of what's right for you, then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
find yourself back in the same situation as before. If you are, let's say you decide to move because you're no longer in a relationship, or you no longer want to be in the same environment that has broken you,
Mm-hmm.
then but you don't get a good support system in place, if you don't have a good routine or rituals that you do every day that supports you, then you're going to find yourself falling back into the old habits. So you must find ways that support you and not deplete you, because it's easy once you get out of one situation to jump back into another one that is not healthy.
Right.
So
Right.
you want to
Right.
make sure you're being, again, that self-awareness is there, and that you are being honest with what's happening, and you're learning how to trust yourself in the process as well.
Right. As you were talking, I'm thinking about health coaching. I was a health coach for almost 10 years.
Hmm.
And it's a similar process. So, you go through with your client about, the goals they want to make for their health, and identifying the barriers to that goal, and substituting those barriers with healthy, with opportunities, right? And creating a conducive environment that will help them. Then substituting the bad habits with good ones that they enjoy doing. So it's really a similar process. Now, the bit about your bio that you point to about, let me see, I think it's to do with retirement or
semi-retirement. Yes.
yeah, semi-retirement. And I was curious about that. What does that mean?
For me, that means I basically stepped outside of corporate America. I decided, I guess when I was maybe in my mid 40s, that by the time I was 50 or 55, I wanted to be retired. That was a big, audacious goal for me. So when I had my last bout of burnout, and it was while I was working in corporate, I decided that I couldn't do it anymore because it extracted so much from me. And I decided, okay, well, I have side contracts that I can work, and instead of being in corporate full time. So let me focus on that, and let me focus on Self Care Oasis. And I just declared, okay, I'm semi-retired. And the more I say that, the more people accept it, and the more I'm able to really be true to that decision. Because for me, semi-retirement is not allowing myself to go back into an environment where I'm extracted from, where I'm depleted, where I cannot do my creative work. I can't do this work, have great conversations. Because if I were going in every day, 9 to 5, and I was just getting home now, I wouldn't have the energy to have this conversation with you. So semi-retirement for me is it's my freedom. I call it a sabbatical lifestyle, where everything that I do is orchestrated by my need for self-devotion. It's orchestrated by my desire to do the work that lights me up, without it extracting from me, but still being able to earn freedom money, as it were,
Right.
so I can remain semi-retired.
Right. You know what skeptics will say though?
Oh, absolutely.
They need income. How are the bills going to be paid? So
Right.
there's also that, right? Everybody has their own situations. I'm also thinking about how all this might apply to people navigating chronic illness, lupus, especially those that are really, really ill, and how they can even begin to think of, you know, what you're explaining, having a better life and decluttering. I just wonder how that could even apply.
I think it applies because when you think about all of the skills and the expertise, your
Mhm.
education, everything that you've done in your life, all those things add up to a paycheck, as it were, because there's someone who needs what you have.
Right.
And there's more than one way to do the work that you went to school for, have experience in, because
Mhm.
the environment that we live in now, being very much internet
Yeah.
focused, as well as remote work, people are starting businesses every day. They need your skills. Corporations need your skills. Educational institutions need your skills. And if it takes a bit of creativity to think outside of the box. That's one of the things I love doing with people, is really kind of guiding them, helping them, letting them list their skills. And then usually it only takes maybe them saying one or two things. I'm like, well, if you're to pair these things together, you literally can make money doing that. Um, but way society is set up and the way the educational institution is set up is they only teach you how to work for someone else. They only teach you
Right.
how to work in corporations or for government or for someone outside of yourself who can control your income, control and put a cap on how much money that you can make. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are able to move outside of that just a little bit and put your creative hat on and begin to ask the question, what can I do with my skill? What can I do with my experience? And oftentimes, teaching what you know to other people is a great way to make money. Also, consulting. There are
Right.
lots of people who need consultants to
Mm-hmm.
share their expertise with them, and that's what I do. I do consulting work,
So do
and
I. Yes.
yeah, so that's I think the biggest thing because we are in the age where the expert is who people are turning to. Because you have the lived experience, you have the know-how, you have the foresight, and you're not so um, inside of an organization where you're dealing with the politics and you're dealing with all the other things. You can do an actual observer bird's eye view of the entire situation and give your feedback, your recommendations, and an implementation plan for them.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, all the years of accumulated skill
Hmm.
can serve you. You don't have to make income only one way.
Right.
So that's excellent. Yeah, and I couldn't wait to get to this last bit, that this question about shameless bliss.
Yes.
What is shameless bliss about?
It's really the opposite of the shame-based society that we live in, the one that makes us feel bad for being joyful and happy or even desiring that. Um, in my eyes, bliss is about ease, it's about flow, it's about allowing the life that you've wanted to, again, back to when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be carefree. Most people had a carefree times in their life, and that was like bliss. I love the word bliss as it is. And but shameless bliss is not caring about what other people say or think about your decision to live in joy. So for many of us, we've not had the opportunity to enjoy life in our adulthood because we have been so focused on work, so focused on taking care of everyone else, so focused on being everything to everyone 24/7 and never having time to really just sit back and enjoy the scenery because we have been head down doing the work. Um, and being extracted from. And so when people, like you mentioned before, the people who are naysayers or people who want to police your actions and activity and tell
Mm.
you, well, if you um, don't get a job, you're gonna suffer.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't do X, Y, and Z, or if you don't get married, if you don't have kids, your life is gonna look like this. But it's like, yeah, no, it doesn't have to. I can
It doesn't have
decide.
to.
I get to
Yeah.
decide how I want my life to be. And when you get into that space of shameless bliss, you no longer allow people to shame you for your decisions, but
Okay.
you can be joyful kind of in their face and it's like let me cook, let
Let
me
me
just do what
enjoy
I
my
want to
life.
do.
Yes. Let me
Yes, let
tell
me
myself
enjoy my
to enjoy
life.
my life. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. And actually, my mind went deeper than that, when it
Hmm.
comes to shameless bliss. I was thinking about relationships and stuff like that. But hey, it's part of it too, right?
Absolutely.
And the pleasures we get from our
Hmm.
relationships. Now, I wanted to talk about the lupus community and illness generally. Autoimmune condition is so prevalent amongst women, and you and I have talked a little about that. There are indicators that stress is a huge factor and that affects women, but also hormonal issues when it comes to autoimmune conditions. There's a lot to do with hormone, and that's why, relative to men, you see disproportional um, women being disproportionately affected by autoimmune conditions. So But if we talk about stress and decluttering, uh, from what I've been reading, honestly, about lupus and autoimmune condition, that women that give a lot tend to also suppress their feelings
Mm-hmm.
and are people pleasers often come down with illnesses such as autoimmune conditions. But of course, there's also other factors that uh, we can delve into, like, healthy eating, exercise, and what have you. But that really interests me. And so that's why I sought to write that article with you and bring you on here to talk about that. So if we have questions for Samantha, the floor is open.
Well, I have been seeing a lot of people talking about autoimmune diseases and the
Mhm.
stress that women are dealing with and the suppressed emotions. And
Suppressed emotions, yeah.
I was the poster child for suppressed emotions. So I um I was afraid of them because when you're young and you're told that you're too much and you're doing the most, you tend to suppress your emotions. When your fears aren't really heard, when you are in pain, your tears aren't seen, you start to suppress your emotions.
Right.
And you move into this people pleasing mode because if I just do what they want me to do, then maybe they'll see me. Maybe they'll recognize that I have feelings. But then when that doesn't really happen because they're getting from you what they want, there's no need for them to pay attention to your emotional state. So you continue to
Right.
suppress, you continue to people please. And so it's a vicious cycle. And the stress just piles up because you have no way to release it. But as we become more aware again,
Mm-hmm.
um, that the source of the stress is often people around you. It's unrealistic expectations you place on yourself. It's the people
Right.
pleasing. It's like, okay, give yourself a break, give yourself some grace. And
Learn to say no. And there
yes.
are different ways to say no, gently.
And then sometimes you can't be gentle because those
And
same
sometimes you can.
people
Yeah.
will, be very persistent. They'll be dogged about it, and then you have to sometimes be a little less than kind with
Gentle.
some people
Yeah.
when you say
That is
no.
true. That is
But
true.
yeah, but you gotta, be willing to do that. And it's not easy, absolutely not easy. But then you have to ask yourself, is it me? Is it gonna be me or is it gonna be them? You know,
You
that
got to choose one, right?
yes,
I'll
you
choose
have to choose
myself.
one. And my thing was I'm not gonna let anybody kill me because I know stress can kill if left unchecked. And so my mantra was like, no one's gonna kill me. They're not going to have me in the hospital or in the grave because I refuse to speak up for myself.
Right. Right. And, when you're told also you're too sensitive, you
Mm-hmm.
tend to let things go. Okay, maybe I'm too sensitive, and you let it go, but it's festering inside, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, well, I think we've come to the end, and it's so lovely to have you, Samantha, and everybody who has joined. For those listening as a podcast, you'll find the recording here on Substack and YouTube. Samantha, where would people find you?
People can find me here on Substack at Samantha Gregory. My publication is Self Care Oasis, and I also do a podcast as well there. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just look for linkedin.com/n/Samantha Gregory. And I'm on TikTok as well as Miss Samantha Gregory, MS Samantha Gregory. Um, I have a lot of great things coming out now. I'm starting a
Nice.
private podcast where people can get the in-depth, um, behind the scenes, sometimes unhinged um,
Nice.
commentary from me in master classes as well. So
Okay.
take a look at that. If you have subscribed, you'll see that today because it's going, like I said, it's coming out around about an hour or so. So I would love to be able to share, all of that with you. And then specifically nervous system regulation, that's huge. And I think that's the ticket to self-devotion, self-care, and giving you the courage to set those boundaries for yourself.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yes. And like I said, you can find the podcast at rss.com as well as Substack and YouTube. And, just send us an email or contact us on Substack. Follow us, follow each other here. The people that have come on today, let's follow each other and see what everybody is doing. Also want to add here that if you have lupus, living with it, or just being diagnosed and you want to share your story so that you can help others navigate the disease, contact me so that you can come on here on my podcast at Lupus in Community. Thank you, everybody. Until then.
That's our episode. Thank you for showing up. Your presence here matters. Share this with someone who needs it. Leave a review and find us on Substack or wherever you listen to podcasts. Your reviews help us reach more of the community. Until next time, stay rooted, seen, supported, stronger.